Hello, today I'm opening up Trajan. This is a game from Hutch by Stefan Feld. Alright, this is a 2 to 4 player game. Doesn't really have a guide here, but it's probably behind here. 2 to 4 players, ages 12 and up. Plays in about 30 minutes. So I think this is one of his best ones, if not his best one. Trajan here has a nice little brooch or some kind of clip of some sort for his toga. It symbolizes the victory point symbol in the middle, and then 6 different actions that you can take throughout the game. There's the arch, building, boating, senate, 2 pillars, and military action. So let's go ahead and open it up. Alright, so got a bag with bonus tiles. So we've got, all of them are 2-sided. The gold side is the full side, and then the second place winner in the Senate will get the silver side, which is reduced points basically. But there's all different kinds. So for every column top and pelt that you collect, you get 3 points. I don't know why it's that combination. Alright, for every person you have in the building area, you get 1. Here's 3 for every cow and wheat. Here's some for wine and fish. For every other gold tiles that you get. Here's some for extra demand in the end of the game. So there's a bunch of those there. Alright, we've got starting player pieces. So red, brown, green, and blue. There's one for Isaiah. He's always red. Alright, so you've got a little guy. You've got a big guy. Looks like kind of a Christmas tree. Then you should have 12 of these things here, 2 of each color. And then you've got a couple discs, and you've got this Trajan arch wooden piece. Pretty much goes around your player board. Alright, so those are there. Now we've got more pieces. So there's 4 different years in the game, and each year there are going to be 3 demands that come out. There are religion demands, games, and bread, say food. Here is the really dirty, worn out timing marker. Here are the 3 the shipping boating tokens. So all of the same cards get you that many victory points. Pairs that are not the same victory points, and then different victory types of not cards, but they're resources, I guess you could call them. All right. So here are a bunch of the Trajan tiles. There should be 6 different kinds. Some of them, if you complete a green and an orange, you'll get to you'll receive 5 victory points, plus lets you place a little guy in your building staging area. This one is 3 points and 2 cards, 9 points. Here's a +2 action tokens. Permanent demands. Here's one for fire. Cards. And then there should be one for military. They're in here somewhere, but there's a bunch of those. Here's extra tokens. Little +2s and cards. Blank cards and a blank boat. Maybe you could make up your own. Alright, here are the +2 action markers. Alright, And then here are the building tiles. So they'll have different victory points to them, and then there's 5 different kinds. So the fountains are 3, the doors are 3, and they've ranged from, I believe, 1 through 5 or 2 through 5. Here's a 4-pointer door. Here's a 5-pointer roof tiles. So there's a bunch of those. Alright, and here are the other tiles. These are the 2 pillars tiles. I forget what they're called, but basically we go by this. So 2 pillars, boating, senate, arch, building, and the military. So here are these are temporary fires, temporary games. Here's an extra senate action. Here's I believe this is a wild what do you call it, building tile. And here's extra senate votes right there. And then there are 2 types of tiles. There's the green backed ones and then the orange backed ones. So there's a ton of those. Alright. Here are the commodity cards. So there's like a bunch of different kinds. There's the bear pelt, there's oil, there's wine, there's bracelets, there's poetry, there's wheat, diamonds, oranges, so fish. So there are a ton of those cards. Now, here is the decider die. It's a 5. Okay. So here's the rule book in French. This has not been used very much. Here's a rule book in German, what it looks like. Trajan in German. Alright. This one also has not been used very often. Now here is the... Well, what the... this might be... Let's see, there's... Spillunderdelen. I don't know what language that is actually. Contenu de jeu. And then Spielmaterial. So I'm thinking this is the German one. Is there... There's probably the English one here somewhere. So, here is... I'm not sure if that means Trajan in Roman, but probably not. Trajan's Trajan, I'm sure. So here's your player board. So here's the extra actions where they can go. Then +1s, then +2s eventually when you get those other tiles. Here are card, tile, building, demand, and action wild tokens. Here's your building section, your demand section. Here's the main part of the board. So 6 different actions, and then basically once you pick up, when you pick up from one bowl, you time the game, and then you start dropping them off consecutively, and then wherever you last drop off, that's where whoa, what are you doing, Dottie? You can't eat the little guy. Okay, so wherever you drop off last, that's the action you'll take. Alright, so there's one of those for each color, and here is the rule book. So it's actually a really concise rule book. It's got just enough what do you call it, examples and a lot of illustrations, and I haven't really found a rule that I was left. All the rules or all my questions have been explained somewhere in this rule book, so it's a really good one. Like a lot of other game makers could take a hint from there from, who is this? From Hutch. All right, so here is the player board. So over here, you've got, all of, you do the military action, you go out and conquer and get tiles. Here's the build section. Here's the boating section. Dottie, you can't get that little guy. All right, so here, 2 pillars action. Here's the arch, Trajan action. Here's the Senate, get victory points and get votes. And this is also where you'll find the bonus tiles. Oh, Dot. Cute girl. All right, so here is the Senate area. Pretty much advance on the track and get votes and get that many victory points for each spot. Here is where the bonus tiles lie. Down here at the bottom, besides the, oh, you're gonna fit in the box. And besides the victory point marker is the timer. So depending on how many cylinders you pick up from a bowl, that's how many times it'll go, how many spots it'll go on this timer. Here's one for 2-player game, 3 and 4, and then down here at the bottom right corner is the negative victory points that you get if you don't meet demands. So that's pretty much what's inside of the box. Now let's see if these can all fit back in, and I'll even try to tidy these up. We know Dottie can fit in the box, so she's good. All right, here we go. I've got a feeling this is not gonna fit. There's too much game in here. All right, not even close. Hello, today we played Trajan. This is a game from Hutch and by Stefan Feld. Is it Stefan or Stefan?
Stefan Feld, I think.
Stefan Feld,
I'll
okay.
definitely say Stefan because it sounds cool.
Yeah, it's cooler. The box itself, kind of
I like
dismal, macabre in a way.
It's very.
it. It doesn't reflect the game.
No,
It's
it's very dark. No, it's
very 11th grade Western Civ history book kind of art. It's like.
yeah.
That's what I like.
But so we're here at Black Apple Crossing in Springdale, Arkansas, and we played it. So your first playthrough, your second, and my maybe 1001. So what'd you think?
I liked it. It was good. I kind of came in with this preconception of Stefan Feld games because I knew point salad, lots of different things going on. So I haven't always done really good with these games, just strategically.
Yeah.
So I just decided to cut something out for myself and focus on a couple of things. But it was good. I like the options, so I never felt like I was cheating myself by ignoring just one section of the board.
Right.
So I like the choices. I like the timer mechanism and how you can kind of force people's hands. So.
Right. Yeah. That little that timing mechanism is excellent. Like one of the best ones I've seen in any game. Yeah, because you can control the tempo of it.
It's like, oh, none of you guys are going to meet demands.
Right.
I'm going to pull an 8 here. And,
Right now.
And
So, and besides that, like the standout thing for me is this little rondelle thing. That was really interesting to see how often you wanted to take one, not even just ignoring the timer, but like how often did you want to set up a big move? How often did you want to? It got to a point where I had 5 or 6 pegs in one bowl.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'll just wait and put a couple more in there so I can get back around to what I want. So
it forces you to think at least a few turns ahead. You can't just
absolutely have to, right?
Yeah.
So
was the game easy to learn?
Surprisingly easy.
Surprisingly, yeah. That's the word that comes to mind for it. Like, it's surprisingly easy. It's not, for all the icons, I can never say it. How do you iconography? Iconography. All the iconography on the board. it's very easy. It's not. It never feels too overwhelming. There's a lot of systems that are melding together, but it's all just very turn this in for points, turn this in for points, have this, and you're fine. It's not. It's not 7 layers deep. It's like it's a mile wide and a few inches deep.
Right.
Yeah. So
I remember when you were first explaining it, I didn't think I'd ever figure it out. And like 2 rounds in.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's 6 basic actions.
Yeah.
That's the limit. The extent of your options, 6 actions, and then with each action, there's only a couple of sub rule, little rules for it. And that's it. And besides the end game scoring, that's the game. But did it feel like? What are some things that you like, or some things you didn't like?
So I liked, at first when I was playing, I was thinking like he was saying, carve out just a few actions and sort of focus on those.
Yeah.
But then it felt more I played like you have to diversify a bit.
Yeah.
It's almost like a capitalism sort of simulator. Like you gotta have a hand in every little thing.
Right.
Make good investments so that you have a good payout at the end.
Yeah.
So I like that idea in general, sort of like long-term planning versus it's like playing six different little board games with different actions, but you have to be in control of all of them.
Now, so you're playing all these mini board games in a way. Did it feel satisfying? Because I know there's been complaints where yes, you've got a lot of things you can do, but it's not really just in depth. You get a taste of so many things, but it's not filling. So do you feel that? Or?
I don't think the depth comes with any of the one actions anyway, but just sort of how you can use them together.
Yeah.
for me, it's about action efficiency and how often can you get 3 points out of a turn, 4 points out of a turn. How often can you set yourself up for 12-point turns? Like a couple times I went to the Senate and just got 9 points or 12 points, or I think I might have gotten 15 one time. But there's no long-term combos. You can set yourself up for things, but it's very much an action-to-action game. It's what's the best. You're almost forced to min-max every turn. You're not thinking about it necessarily, but every turn you're what's the best thing for me now, and what's the best thing that'll set me up for 2 turns from now? Because 7 turns from now, you can't plan for, because you don't know what everybody else is going to do. You don't know what anybody's going to do 2 turns from now most of the time. So.
And that sort of goes towards the trying to carve out just a few actions. You can think these 2 that I've been working on, I can get 3 points this turn, or I can do this other thing and get 9 points.
It's good.
Jasper was yelling.
I only won by 3 points. It was for your first time. You got a lot of points, and I felt like you were sort of you caught onto the game early on, and you were, I don't know how to say it, you were using your turns wisely, basically, because
there's a little bit of, and one of the things I was thinking about for why I like it, or thing I like about it, I said Rondell earlier, but it made me think of also Five Tribes, the Mancala thing, where you're having to suss out your turns and decide where you want to end, and how that's going to help you in the future. So between cutting off, I ignored military for most of the game. I touched that maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
And I thought about doing shipping. Where I had difficulty in this game is with the buildings. I kept on thinking do I want to keep on building? Do I want to keep on building?
Yeah.
But halfway through the game, I just kind of lost interest in it because it felt like I had to set up too much to do that the whole game. So, and that might be true for any one thing you're doing in this game. That's maybe my one thing is you can't necessarily specialize.
Right.
You have like Jesse was saying, you have to put your hand in at least 2, if not 3 different pots here.
Right.
And kind of that way you give yourself options in case somebody comes in and takes what you want.
Right.
That way you have something else to do.
I kind of agree with that. You have to have your hand in many cookie jars, but also you have to really reach down on one of them and kind of make that
the focal point of your game.
Yeah, mine was definitely the Senate. Early on it was building, but then in the end it was Senate, and I just kept on.
Mine was, it was between two actions. It was the building, which is I was wanting to get a lot of +2 actions, so I could do it 3 times.
Yeah.
And I focused early on getting those extra actions, and then I used that to get more tiles. And with those extra tiles, it made it worth, almost every action was something I could get points off of. Yeah. It did take me, 2 or 3 extra rounds to do that, but I felt like
once you got it going,
that payoff was actually really rewarding.
Yeah, I do like the buildings for besides just the points, the one-time actions. These demand. Can't probably see it on there, but the demand buildings that fulfill demand for you. That just like to have those 2 from like the first round on, and to be able to mostly ignore it was really beneficial. So that's why I was getting onto the buildings a little early, just because it felt like between the 9 pointers and those, it was really useful. So, and like I'm doing quick math here, but that's 13, 15, 20, 32, 35. Like a quarter of my score is in those buildings. So
Yeah.
So I feel like about halfway through the game, I realized like I hadn't dug into any one of these things. And I was sort of like spread thin, and it was sort of hard to come back from that.
Right.
I don't know if that's like a downside to the game, or I'm just playing it wrong. Probably mostly me playing it wrong, but.
I don't know. Yeah, that's a hard question to answer, because one guy did dig down into one action, which is a military. He did that. He had at least 2,
One better than I did.
Yeah, and still.
But you think you didn't dig down deep enough into one?
Yeah, I sort of spread myself thin, I think.
Yeah. And that might be like the flip side. I mean, you guys are on flip sides then, and you guys ended up 1 point apart, whereas you would say you had, 2 main things you were doing?
Yeah.
And I had 2, maybe 2.5, since I did some good stuff over here. But I think we both got maybe a little lucky with that, and where people didn't take certain things. But,
yeah, exactly.
Because I thought for sure someone was going to take one of these fountains away from me, but and someone did. But I mean, and that was the thing with us being 3 points apart. Any one thing that changes puts me ahead or puts me 15 points behind.
Right.
So
I have to say, for long term, getting points at the end, that big payoff. 2 of the ones that I neglected, which are probably the best ones to do, are the shipping and the Senate.
Yeah.
Because they work together pretty well. You get the cards that pay off the Senate votes and everything.
Yeah. I really wanted to do the shipping. I just couldn't get cards more. I thought about it a couple times, but I didn't feel like there's a really good card engine out there. I got some of these buildings that give you 2 cards.
Yeah.
But it felt it felt wasteful to me to just go to shipping to get a card.
Right.
And then wait, because people were taking such big turns at times. We saw 6s and 8s. I did 8 twice, I think.
Yeah.
It was just that's not going to the min-maxing again went into my head and was that's not worth it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to spend too many turns getting 0 points, and hopefully,
I was doing the short-term payoffs, the building and everything, trying to keep the people happy so I wouldn't miss 4 points.
Yeah.
I mean, in the end, I started meeting those demands, but early on, I was fine with losing 9, 15 points,
Because you're making investments for the late game.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And it goes to show you don't meet people's demands all the time. In the long run, they'll be happy.
Anybody going into government needs to.
Anybody going to government,
People don't matter.
Democrats, Republicans, Independents.
Just rule
Third
the
party,
North.
Play Trajan. That's how every political decision needs to be decided.
There's some capitalism, there's some military, there's glad handing people, a little bit of everything,
man. So, do you think the theme showed through this, or was it more pasted on?
Pasted on. I didn't feel like any theme when I was playing. It was
not conquering Britannia. Or...
I didn't conquer Britannia. I spent all my time in the Senate, and I don't feel any corrupt for it. But
military doesn't feel like military.
Right.
It doesn't feel like you're conquering. You're not fighting anything.
It's
putting down a guy.
It's a very Feld way of conflict, resolving conflict.
It's very Euro game combat. Yeah.
I don't know how easy it was for the Romans, but isn't that?
They just walk right into, Britain.
I'll take this and this and this.
Got some bread along the way, or maybe popularity. So.
Yeah. Oh, look, a flame.
And like votes don't really lead to like what voting would. You just draw a card or something like.
Yeah, it's like, oh, my pillar landed here, I get a vote. I mean, no, the theme isn't there. It's a great combination of mini games or however you want to call it, of engines working together. But the theme. Yeah, I didn't feel the theme when I was playing. So
if the idea is pacing a bunch of mini games together, I think like a government sort of game sort of works. With that in general, but
it's a good simulation for how a government's put together, I guess.
Nothing goes together quite right. But
no.
No.
What are your final thoughts?
I mean, it's a good game.
It's a good game.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of turn-to-turn angst, so it's fun to figure out when do I want to take my Senate actions or military or pillar. I guess if I play this again, the thing I want to figure out is if I focused on 2 or 3 other things instead of the 2 or 3 I focused on now, would I do just as well? How group dependent is it? Or how late in the game can I change my strategy? Because I went from buildings to Senate like halfway through the game, and it turned out okay. But yeah,
I would slow down definitely at the beginning of the game, like what you're doing.
Right. Yeah.
And just focus on setting things up for later.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's a fun. I don't even think it's a heavy game. I think it's towards the upper end of medium.
It's a long game maybe for what it is. Like for the actions you're taking and stuff. It's not. There's nothing terribly complex, so it goes on a long time.
Yeah.
But
It makes it feel complex.
The weight of it isn't in the systems; it's in the time frame.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not.
Yeah.
And just maybe a lot of icons and stuff on your board and on the game, but otherwise, no. There's nothing, and the icons on the board and all that are, like I might have said earlier, are very self-explanatory for the most part. Outside of the +2 actions thing,
it's all there.
It's all very straightforward. So
I think it's straightforward to be able to get through the game and to be able to play, but I think it has the potential to be really complex if you want to play it that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you could spreadsheet it out for sure. You could be like, wait, what the optimal move for the next 5 moves? Yeah, you could, but I mean, to just jump in and play it, it's not easy to learn, hard to master kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah. So I played this game about close to a dozen times, I'd say, and I've won probably 75% of them.
Because you're a genius.
Not because I'm good at it.
Humble brag.
The thing is, and even with a new player, it still is a close game. And I know a lot of the things that I want to focus on and new things I want to try out. And I don't. This is not a pro for the game, but I feel like it doesn't reward a focused strategy. Yeah. Unfortunately, and that's really unfortunate because I just said that.
Well, it's kind of like Agricola. People always complain about Agricola that you have to do a little bit of everything. You can't just hunker down on breeding all the cows or making a bunch of carrots or something. And that's kind of how this is. You can't just focus on military. You can't, just focus on building over here because people are going to come in and pick stuff off, and you're not going to get, the mats because there's just no.
Even knowing that, I've played with a couple of people, Lori and Dallas. They've played it several times also, and what I'm trying to say is we kind of know a lot of the strategy, and even picking one out, it's still a close game. And even playing a game with a new player, it's still a close game. So I don't know if it's just, I don't know. There's something to it where
maybe too general.
It's just.
It's all gonna end up in a wash.
Yeah, even if you focus and you know what your strategy is, it can still lead to a close game. And does that mean that the strategy is, bad?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is your strategy picking one or two, or is it a mixture?
It's
how certain ones interact with each other?
so one thing I've done was get the gold one, and then start just focusing on the Senate to get a bunch of these to get extra points, along with the common whatever points I accumulate. Another one was Lori has won by doing what I just did tonight, which is getting those +2s and really amping those up so that she can be doing 3, of the same action at once. I've also done it with a lot of shipping, just focusing on that. I've won with that. So I don't know. Like maybe that's just a tangent. Like, we won't explore now because
Yeah, I mean, for us at least, it's not something like it's something worth looking at for multiple plays. I mean, you can speak more to it than we can, but
I think a lot of the complexity and strategy would come from how the different actions interact with each other.
Yeah.
And on the first playthrough, that's kind of hard to see.
Yeah, exactly. So,
right.
well, I hope we get to play this again and
yeah, for sure.
see get a different take on it. But,
Right on.
all right, so that's Trajan.